Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli the Computer Guy here for the Daily Blob, and I will remind you, no matter how bad the job market might get for technology professionals, as long as your bunghole is flexible, there are always opportunities for you out behind your local 7-Eleven. Right? That's the kind of business and career advice you come to Eli the Computer Guy for. But anyways, again, I talk to y'all. Oh my God, I talk to y'all. And the main question everybody has is, how do I get a job in technology? Not how do you build things, not how do you solve problems. None of that. How do I get a job? And the reason that I get so frustrated by this question is it's just a very difficult question to really answer, especially if I'm not in your geographic area, right? You go, you meet people, you schmooze, you get a decent resume, you figure out what skills the local employers want. You try to match your skill set to what they're actually trying to hire for. You know, it's just long and it's just tedious and it has a lot to do, again, with macro forces. If you're going to find a job during a tech boom cycle, you might be a complete and utter moron and land a six-figure job. If you try to get a job during a bust cycle, you might be the next Steve Jobs and go fucking bankrupt, right? That's the issue with the whole jobs. And so you understand, that's why I get so frustrated with this whole jobs question is, you know, getting a job is getting a job. Ask me about tech stacks. But anywho, one of the big issues that's currently going on is we are in an economic kerfuffle, right? We're not in a recession, or we might be in a recession, maybe we're in who knows. The issue is our economy has issues. But the politicians and the pundits and all of these people get very careful with the exact words that they use. And so the problem that we get into is our economy has economic issues, but nobody really wants to admit to the economic issues that we have. So therefore they keep screwing around with the definition of words. And so that's why I just call it a kerfuffle. Really, we've had a kerfuffle since 2008, since the Great Recession, way back when. The economy has never actually healed. We slapped a lot of duct tape onto gunshot wounds, and the patient has continued to live. Whether or not they're really surviving, I guess, is a bit of a different question. So the issue that's going on right now, especially in the technology world, is just a mess. It's just a disaster. People were hired for years when they shouldn't have been hired. Technology company CEOs, founders were focused on investors versus actually focusing on revenue and profit. And the issue now is that they just have to unwind, right? At some point, the stupidity has to end and you have to rebuild and figure out how your company is going to look. And so what we saw after Elon Musk decided to fire 3/4 of the staff at Twitter, everybody else started to do the same thing. Mark Zuckerberg, Google, a lot of other companies basically started laying off en masse. They hired en masse during the COVID crisis for some reason, didn't make a damn bit of sense, and now they were firing en masse because Elon Musk fired a lot of people. And so, again, they're good little lemmings and follow along with what the cool kid is doing. The issue is when you do a lot of layoffs, especially when you continuously do a lot of layoffs, that looks bad to the investors. Why are you laying off? If you hired people because you were growing, does that mean you're laying off people because you're failing? That's a concerning thing if your money is coming from the investors. And so one of the big issues we're having right now is we had the massive wave of layoffs, and so that was an issue for the tech industry and getting jobs. One of the things that doesn't get talked about as much as the layoffs is how many things like internships got canceled, and not even internships got canceled, but basically job offers that had already been made, they got rescinded. right? Rescinding a job offer isn't the same thing as a layoff. Massive numbers of job offers were rescinded. And then beyond that, a lot of these companies simply aren't hiring like they used to. So a lot of people are dumped back on the market. A lot of people that should have had jobs don't have jobs. And you have this whole stuff going on. And so the interesting thing that's currently going on in the tech industry is they're trying to figure out how to maintain the optics of eliminating employees is the idea of buyouts, right? So, with layoffs, basically with layoffs, many of these tech companies, they lay you off and then they give you severance pay. Well, what if you change things around and get a bit to give things a bit different optics? So instead of laying people off, you simply offer to buy them out, essentially give them severance pay. They decide to quit, and then it doesn't look so bad for your investors, right? Because you don't have to go out and say you did these massive number of layoffs. So that's what we're looking at with Google right now. Google, again, big company. Revenue seems to be up. They actually seem to be doing good. But again, they've got to lower costs because they've always got to do it. Coming from CNBC, Google offers buyouts to employees across the company, including search. And that's an interesting one because that's Google's bread and butter. Search is how Google still makes their money. They have not been able to very successfully move away from search being their major profit center. And so when you see this and you see them now offering buyouts, basically dumping employees out of departments, including search, it does become an interesting question of what is going on over at Google? So Google on Tuesday offered buyouts to employees across several of its divisions, including those within its knowledge and information and central engineering units, as well as marketing, research, and communication teams. Knowledge and information, or K&I, is the unit that houses Google's search, ads, and commerce divisions. The buyouts Tuesday are the company's latest effort to reduce headcount, which Google has continued to do in waves since laying off 12,000 employees in 2023. So one of the big things that happened after Elon Musk bought Twitter and then dumped all the employees at Twitter is a lot of investors were arguing that these companies were now spending too much money on employees. They needed to reduce headcount. And so one of the people said that there is an idea floated that literally Google needed to reduce their headcount by 20%, which would be a massive number. And so if you look at it, they've already gotten rid of 12,000 people in the 2023 layoffs, and they continue to do buyouts, and they continue to do layoffs since then. The, quote, voluntary exit program applies to U.S.-based employees, and some teams are also mandating office returns for remote workers who live within 50 miles of an office. Oh, the company confirmed. That could suck. That could suck. Like, if you're in Texas, you got a big old interstate, you live 50 miles away from the office. Okay, it's a 50-minute hour commute. I don't want to do it, but maybe some will. Man, if you are 50 miles from an office in like Washington, D.C. or San Francisco or something like that, that could be a 2-hour commute in the morning. Hey, all we're saying, if you want to continue working for us, all we're saying is you just got to come into the office. Again, this is an easy way. The return to work mandates are an easy way to convince employees to quit, and then everything looks different on your books. They will be expected to assume a hybrid work schedule, quote, in order to bring folks more together in person. And I really want to, emphasize this. Where I've talked about before in 2015, it was all about collisions. Then in 2021, it was all about work from home. And now we're doing this whole kind of, getting back into the office thing more. One of the things I really want you to understand is all of these concepts are simply fads. They are fads that come and they go, and it's something that you have to be careful about, right? A lot of these technology companies, they were pushing work from home, right? Work from home is the future. Every good technology CEO knows that work from home is the future. And so you buy their lies. You accept the lies that lazy, stupid CEOs put on the table. You make decisions based off of those lies. And then a year or two later, the CEO is like, oh, maybe I should actually do my job. And then they change what they're saying. And all of a sudden here, look how the employees become the bad people. Oh, the employees are too lazy to come into the office, right? They put all that blame onto the employee, which is just a hell of a thing. Quote, earlier this year, some of our teams introduced a voluntary exit program with severance for US-based Googlers, and several more are now offering the program to support our important work ahead, a Google spokesperson said. K&I has approximately 20,000 employees. The unit underwent a reorganization in October that resulted in Google executive Nick Fox taking over the helm. Fox sent out a memo on Tuesday saying the employees who are not meeting expectations may want to take the buyout, and that those who are excited by their work and doing well to remain with the company. And the other thing to be thinking about here, again, with these performance reviews, we've heard about this with Meta. Meta is using performance reviews to get rid of low-performing employees. And suddenly, employees that had been high-performing are now being labeled low-performing all of a sudden. Right? And so an interesting thing to look at this. And again, with how Google, again, and how these technology companies deal with their employees is this thing of, if you're not a high performer, we're not firing you because we failed as managers and leaders. You are failing to live up to basic expectations. You're too lazy to come into the office. You're too inept to do the job that you're hired for. What else are we supposed to do in this situation? And just notice this as time goes by, how more and more and more of the blame is being put on the employees versus anybody else. Quote, I want to be very clear. If you're excited about your work, energized by the opportunity ahead, and performing well, I really, really hope you don't take this. We have ambitious plans and tons to get done, Fox wrote. Quote, on the other hand, this voluntary, program offers a supportive exit path for those of you who don't feel aligned with our strategy, don't feel energized by your work, or are having difficulty meeting the expectations of your role. And this is, again, where these big tech companies are trying to use the startup playbook, right? The idea in the startup world is you come in, you work 60 or 80 hours a week because, after 5 or 10 years, your equity might be worth $1 gazillion, and then you can sit on a beach for the rest of your life. The curious thing that we're seeing, again, out of these large tech companies at this point in time, is they're trying to use that same mentality. You should be passionate. You should be working 60 hours a week so that our investors can make more money. You need to give up your family. You need to sacrifice your marriage so that the CEO can get a couple of extra $1 billion in their bank account. And if you do not believe in that future, you're just sad. The buyouts come after finance chief Anat Askinzay in October said that one of her top priorities would be to drive more cost cutting as Google expands its spending on artificial intelligence infrastructure in 2025. So there you go. Google is doing more voluntary exits, voluntary separations. You agree to quit, they give you a chunk of money, and apparently everybody is going to be happy with that. If you do not agree to quit and you do not live up to their very precise expectations, you can expect to be punished. And we're going to see more and more of this out of big tech as things move forward. And that's the issue that we're in with this particular job market. I don't know what the hell you people want me to tell you. I really do not understand what you want me to tell you. This is the insanity that we're currently dealing with. And that's why you have to go out. If you want to be a technology professional, you have to go out and you have to start finding problems to solve. You have to start finding companies that are willing to hire you. You have to find managers and bosses that actually do support technological improvement within their organizations, and they're not just playing lip service to the whole thing. And you do have to find your position, your place in a very confusing and trying world. And I get it. It sucks. But it sucks. That's the reality we got. I don't know what the hell you want me to tell you. So anyways, what do you think about this? What do you think about Google doing more of voluntary buyouts of their employees? What do you think about them now doing the buyouts after doing the layoffs? How many employees do you think Google is going to cut? What do you think about the inept leadership at these large technology companies essentially foisting the blame of their failures onto their employees? Literally psychologically gaslighting their employees to think the failures are the employees' fault and not the managers. What do you think about those managers and leaders making all that money, getting all that value out of the equity, but they can't be bothered to do their particular taskings? I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. And with that, see y'all later.